I've always seen life as a long string of lessons, some obvious, others disguised, often hitting you when you least expect them. Growing up in a quiet Midwestern town, baseball wasn't just a hobby, it was my escape, my sanctuary. The sharp crack of the bat, the dugout banter, the fresh dirt, it was the one place where everything made sense, where I felt confident and alive. My dad and I would spend hours practicing. He'd cheer for every hit and quietly encourage me through every miss. He was building more than just my swing. He was building my resilience. But as I got older, that love for the game began to clash with something else, a hunger for learning. By the time I got to college, I was walking a tightrope, juggling intense engineering coursework with the grind of collegiate baseball. Oddly enough, I thrived in that chaos. I enjoyed testing my limits, both mentally and physically. Still, deep down, a truth began to settle in. Talent doesn't carry you forever. If you can't evolve, you fall behind. When the reality sank in that I wasn't going pro, I didn't crumble. I just shifted gears. I took that same passion and poured it into engineering. I learned that chasing success off the field takes just as much grit as chasing it on the diamond. That drive set the stage for a career I would come to love. Teaching became my calling. I mentored students, tackled complex engineering challenges, and worked with brilliant minds on projects that actually made a difference. For the first time since baseball, I felt like I had found another team and a purpose. Of course, curveballs never came easy to me, not in the batter's box and not in life. In college, I was the guy who could time a fastball like clockwork, but when it came to curveballs, I struggled. That made me a standout on campus but also made my chances at the pros slim. So I doubled down on education, knowing that would pay off in the long run. Fast forward 25 years from graduation, 15 years into my career, and I was living my dream. I had a tenured position at a top Texas engineering university, consulted for major government projects, and ran a leading manufacturing lab. On top of that, life at home seemed just as solid. Rachel, my wife, and I had built what looked like an ideal life. Our daughter, Chloe, a civil engineering junior, was attending the very university where I taught. Everything felt aligned, like the stars had finally settled in our favor. Then came the curveball I never saw coming, a call from Chloe. "Daddy, what's going on?" she asked, voice tight with confusion. "I just stopped by the house. There are movers here. Mom says she's leaving. You two are having problems? Why didn't you tell me?" I froze. Her words didn't register at first. "Wait, are you serious? This isn't a prank." "No, Daddy. I'm watching them pack everything. Come home." She won't explain anything. "Did you do something?" Her voice cracked. It cut deep. I wasn't perfect, but I hadn't done anything to deserve this. I raced home, my thoughts spinning. Chloe was waiting, clearly shaken. She still won't say why she said, "Dad, I'm with you, but tell me the truth. Did you do something really bad?" "No, honey," I told her, trying to steady my voice. "I didn't. Let's go ask her together." Chloe, ever the truth seeker, hit record on her phone, said Leah, her younger sister, needed to hear what was said. We walked in to find Rachel directing the movers, barely looking up. "Rachel, what is going on?" I asked. "I'm leaving, Eli," she said coldly. "Don't try to stop me. It'll only piss me off." Chloe stepped in furious. "Unless you explain this, Mom, you're just making things worse. What the hell are you doing?" Rachel looked cornered and asked Chloe to come outside. Chloe yanked her arm away but followed. We stepped onto the back deck. Rachel slid the door shut, exhaled, and finally said it. "I met someone. He's from New Mexico. Works in real estate. I'm leaving to be with him. The divorce papers are already filed." I blinked, trying to process it. "Wow. So you couldn't just have an affair, you had to find a soulmate." Chloe let out a harsh laugh. "Seriously, Mom? You think we're buying that fairy tale crap?" Rachel started to respond, but Chloe wasn't done. "You work in real estate. Nobody tracks your hours. How many open houses turned into dates with this guy?" "It's not like that," Rachel said quickly. "Yes, it is," I shot back. "You don't blow up a family unless something's been brewing for a while. Stop pretending it just happened. You're making it sound cheap," she snapped. "It is cheap," Chloe said. "You're betraying Dad, but that's not even the worst part. What about me and Leah? Did you think about us for even a second?" "I love you both," Rachel said, trying to soften her tone. "That hasn't changed. I still care about you, Eli, but nothing," Chloe cut her off. "You say you love us, but how are we supposed to believe that now? You've destroyed everything. I know you're angry, but eventually you'll see that not much will change." You'll even come to like Brent, she said, almost pleading. Over my dead body, Chloe snapped. I don't want anything to do with some guy who hooks up with married women. I'm telling Leah everything. And you know what's already changed, she added. I used to admire you. That's gone. Don't bring him near me. I'll spit in his face. Chloe. No. You don't get to lecture me. You've disappointed me in ways I didn't know were possible. You ruined this family. I hate you. Rachel turned to me, eyes desperate. Eli. Don't look at me, I said. This is on you. She seemed to finally understand what she'd done, but it was too late. Chloe grabbed my arm. Let's go, Dad. I can't breathe in here. Rachel gasped at her words, but Chloe was already dragging me out. She opened the car door, shoved me in like I was the kid now, and got behind the wheel. I felt numb, like I was floating through fog. Chloe turned the key, glanced at me, and said, Daddy, we'll get through this. You're hurting, but I'll help you find happiness again. Now buckle up. It's the law. I clicked the seatbelt, grateful for her strength. She drove fast, always had, and in her R8 V10 Plus Spider, her college graduation gift, she hit the gas like she meant it. We flew down the road, away from the ruins of what I thought was a perfect life. Jesus, baby, I muttered as Chloe floored the gas. You're gonna kill me before I even get a chance to deal with this. She laughed, no apology in sight. You'll be fine. We reached her apartment, shared with Leah in record time. It never ceased to amaze me how different the two of them were, despite being raised under the same roof. Chloe was fire, always talking, always moving. Leah? Sweet, gentle, except when she stepped onto the softball field. Then she was a storm. The moment we walked in, Leah grinned and patted the couch. Hey, Daddy. She beamed, throwing her arms around me. Chloe sat on my other side as I dropped down between them. Hi, sweetheart, I said, voice heavy. Rough day. Leah tilted her head. What's going on? Chloe jumped in. I went to the house to grab Dad's jack and found Mom there with movers. She said she's leaving him. Leah's smile vanished. What? No way. I pulled her close. I wish it wasn't true, baby. What did you do? She asked softly. The question stung. He didn't do anything, Chloe snapped. It's Mom. She met some guy named Brent and now thinks it's love. You're kidding. Chloe pulled out her phone and played the recording. Leah listened in silence, then burst into tears. We hugged her tightly as she cried. Through the sobs, she whispered, What are you going to do? I don't know, I admitted. She's leaving. I can't stop her. I'm not even sure I want to. Leah wiped her eyes. I need to hear it from her. If she says that to me, I'll lose it. I understand, I said. I'm still in shock. Chloe, as usual, was grounded. Dad, you need a lawyer. Leah frowned. Come on, Chloe. She's our mom. Yeah, Chloe said coldly, and she just walked out on us. You think she's done causing damage? Leah stared at the floor. This feels like some weird dream. More like a nightmare, Chloe said. Leah stood. I'm going to talk to her. Meet me for dinner later. She grabbed her bag and left. Chloe leaned into me. I wrapped an arm around her. After a long pause, she asked, Daddy, do you know any lawyers? Not for this kind of thing. Then call someone who does. It felt unreal. That morning, life was normal. Now I was about to hire a divorce attorney. Eventually, we settled on Jenna Whitaker, a recommendation from a trusted colleague. I booked the appointment, got a list of documents to prep, and tried to breathe. Later, I went home to pack for an event. Chloe insisted on driving. She also decided that she and Leah were staying with me. No discussion, she said. I didn't argue. She'd already made up her mind. While I hunted down documents, Chloe dove into our finances. Minutes later, she called out, Dad, you're not gonna like this. What's wrong? You've got $50 in checking. 1,000 in the money market. That's it. That's not possible, I said. We had way more. She drained it, Chloe said. This might actually be illegal. I've got accounts at the credit union she can't touch, I muttered. I'll move funds. That evening, we met Leah for dinner. She looked shaken. I had to hear it for myself, she said, voice low. She really said it. I'm sorry I doubted you. You're not mad. I asked. No. I get it now. Chloe hugged her. I wouldn't have believed it either if I wasn't there. Leah continued. She wants us to meet Brent. Thinks we like him. I told her no way. I don't even want to see her. She lied. She cheated. I nodded, the anger boiling beneath the sadness. We know the truth now. The next day, the girls drove me to meet Jenna. She was sharp, direct, and didn't waste time. Within 48 hours, she filed for divorce, froze all shared accounts, and ordered Rachel to return any money she'd taken. From that moment, neither of us could touch the funds, except for daily expenses. Then the call came. "Why are you being so difficult, Eli?" Rachel's voice was clipped. "You left. What exactly did you expect? We need to talk, in person." She showed up the next day. When she saw the girls, she narrowed her eyes. "Why are you here?" "We live here," Leah said flatly. "We're not leaving Dad alone," Chloe added, then walked off with her sister, ignoring their mother completely. Rachel sat down with a sigh. "I don't want this to be harder than it has to be. I still love you, Eli, but I need to be with Brent. We can still be friends, for the girls' sake." "Friends?" I stared at her. "You think I'm going to be buddies with someone who shattered our family? I don't even have enemies who've done what you've done. Why'd you freeze the accounts? You emptied them. But you have that credit union account, which you never contributed to," I replied. "When we were together, everything was shared. Now, it's mine. Let the court decide." She rolled her eyes. "You're being childish." "No, I'm being done. Wasn't Brent into roller skating?" She scowled. "His name is Brent. I don't care if it's Casanova. You made your choice. Just don't expect me to clean up the mess." "Is there anything else?" she asked before walking out. "The girls, why are they so furious? You must have said something to turn them against me." "Me?" I said, stunned. I didn't have to say a word. They saw everything with their own eyes. "Rachel, you made your choices." She frowned. "How long has this been going on? Why didn't you ever ask if I was happy? We could have tried to fix it." "You never said you were unhappy," I replied. "I wasn't," she said, almost wistful. "But have you ever met someone and just felt drawn to them? Like magnets?" "Yeah," I said. "The day I met you." She avoided my eyes. "Can't we move on? We don't have to hate each other. We've loved too long to throw it all away like this." "We're not moving on," I said. "I don't want to be friends with someone who betrayed me." "But we'll still see each other," she said. "The girls' graduations, weddings." "Maybe," I said. "But I'll handle what I need to handle." "That's it. I'm still the same person you used to like." "No," I said flatly. "Or if I did like you, I never really knew you. I'm done. You can go now." Rachel hesitated, then walked out with a long sigh. I needed air. I drove out to the river, parked, and stood near the water, letting the wind calm my nerves. I'd only been there a few minutes when a voice startled me. "Hi, Daddy," Leah said as she walked up beside me. "Hey, sweetheart. How'd you find me?" She smiled. "Family tracker. You made us keep it, remember?" I laughed, and she leaned against me. "It's peaceful here," she said. "Yeah," I replied. "Much needed." "What did Mom want?" I sighed. She asked about the accounts and said we should try being friends. "Claims we need to stay civil for you and Chloe." Leah was quiet. "Chloe and I already talked. We're not inviting her to anything. We miss her, but not like this. We can't pretend." "You're sure?" I asked. "Yeah," she nodded. "Let's go get Mexican." We called Chloe, but she was busy. Just the two of us went out. That dinner helped. Gradually, things began to settle. After several meetings with Jenna Whitaker, the divorce was finalized. The girls stayed with me for a couple of weeks afterward, filling the house with life. Eventually, I had to encourage them to go back to their apartment. "I love having you here," I told them. "But it's time to get back to your routines. I'll always be here when you need me." Leah looked worried. "We just don't want you to be lonely." "Then call me. Visit. Invite me out, like you always do." We hugged, wiped a few tears, and they returned to their place. They checked in often, and when the papers were officially signed, they stayed with me again for a week, quietly, without once bringing up their mom. I didn't ask either. I poured myself into work. I took on extra projects, taught more classes, filled the space she left behind with purpose. I missed being married, missed companionship, quiet mornings, shared meals, but the pain dulled over time. 1 year passed. Then 2. Chloe was working on her PhD. Leah paused her studies to take a job at a mortgage firm. Both were thriving, and I couldn't have been prouder. Life went on, just like it always does. Rachel still managed to stir things up occasionally. At Leah's graduation, she overheard us making plans to celebrate and insisted on tagging along. "Shouldn't you be rushing back to Brent?" Chloe asked flatly. Rachel's expression hardened. "Brent and I broke up." "Oh, really? When?" Leah asked. "If you kept in touch, you'd know." "It's been 18 months, Rachel replied coldly. "We've been busy," Chloe said with a smirk. I laughed, couldn't help it. Rachel glared, but said nothing. We all drove separately to the barbecue place. We managed to find her a seat, but the girls kept their distance. She left soon after dinner, clearly not welcomed. The next morning, I flew to Tarawa for a resort project I was consulting on. It was beautiful, untouched beaches, crystal water, a place that felt untouched by chaos. I spent time at local clubs, danced, laughed, even had a few casual flings. It wasn't love, but it was liberating. I came back feeling something I hadn't in years, ready to live again. That feeling stayed with me. Soon, I decided to revisit California, maybe even drive by the old neighborhood. I packed up the motorhome, hitched up my Wrangler, stocked the fridge, and set out. The road was good for my soul. I camped, met new people, joined events. It felt free, but I couldn't help noticing how many of the folks I met were couples. Happy ones. It was a reminder that while I was healing, part of me still felt alone. 3 weeks later, I arrived. I explored Ventura, Santa Barbara, and Ojai. One afternoon in Ojai, I was sipping coffee when a commotion near the entrance caught my attention. Some woman was throwing a tantrum over the mask policy, classic Karen energy. I tuned her out and glanced outside. That's when I noticed another woman sitting at a nearby table. She had given up waiting in line and was scrolling on her phone. There was something familiar about her. Then she stood and walked inside, and it hit me. "Jacinta de Leon," I whispered. No way. She'd moved to my town in 3rd grade. I remembered those huge brown eyes, that glowing smile. She'd been magnetic, everyone noticed her. But somehow, I became her best friend. We walked home together every day, picked the same electives, practically lived in each other's pockets. By middle school, I'd fallen hard for her. Unfortunately, she never saw me that way. To her, I was just Eli, her best friend. I never told her the truth. I didn't want to lose her. So, I played along, smiled through her string of boyfriends, and treasured every slow dance she saved for me at school events. Once, while we played cribbage in my room, she looked at me and asked, "Eli, why don't you have a girlfriend?" I froze. How could I tell her the only girl I wanted was her? Before I could answer, she smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll help you." Not long after, a parade of her pretty friends started showing up. It was her way of matchmaking. None of them stuck. We stayed close, until life pulled us apart. She moved to LA. I headed to Texas. Now here she was again, walking like no time had passed. Years later, she reappeared, more radiant than ever. Jacinta carried herself with effortless grace now, her beauty matured into elegance. She wore a beige silk dress, low black heels that accentuated her legs, and the confidence of a woman who had built something of her own. She was sitting in a coffee shop, scrolling through her phone, when she suddenly looked up and locked eyes with me. Her face lit up like the sun breaking through clouds. "Eli? Oh my God, is it really you?" She squealed, leaping from her seat and throwing her arms around me like no time had passed. Her hug nearly knocked me over, just like old times. "It's been forever," she said, beaming. "What are you doing here? Are you with your family? Are you alone?" I gently untangled myself, eyeing the hot coffee in her hand. "Take a seat before you spill boiling caffeine on me," I joked, laughing. She dropped into the chair, pulling me into a second hug like we were back in the school cafeteria, skipping lunch for another round of cribbage. "So," she asked, "why are you here? How long are you staying?" "I've been touring the country in my camper van," I said. "Revisiting the old neighborhood. No set schedule, just going where the road takes me." She nodded with approval. "I moved here 3 years ago, opened my own real estate office. It's been busy, too busy, but it's finally paying off." Her eyes sparkled. "What are you doing tonight?" "We've got years to catch up on." "Nothing planned," I said. "Every day's a blank slate." Then her expression shifted slightly. "Wait, aren't you married? Where's your wife?" "I'm divorced," I said simply. 3 years now. It's a long story." She waved it off. "Don't need the details. You're taking me to dinner. I have a fashion show in 20 minutes, but text me your number." I handed over my phone, and she tapped hers against it, sending a message instantly. "Wear a collared shirt," she added with a grin, rushing off before I could respond. Still grinning, I remembered her love for turquoise. I stopped by a local artisan shop and picked out a delicate silver bracelet and anklet set inlaid with turquoise stones. It felt right. That night, I dressed in black slacks and a soft pink button-down, spritzed on cologne, and drove to the address she texted. When I arrived, I was floored. Her home was a Spanish-style estate tucked in a lush part of Ojai, gated, historic, and worth a fortune. The iron fence curled with vines, and fountains gurgled in the front garden. The koi pond sparkled beside flowering trees. A vintage green Jaguar E-Type was parked in front of the garage. She had done well for herself. When I rang the bell, a deep chime echoed through the house. Jacinta opened the door and smiled, and I couldn't speak for a moment. She laughed. "Cat got your tongue? You know how you look, right?" I said, "Still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." She pulled me into another tight hug. "God, I've missed you, Eli." "I brought you something," I said, handing her the small gift box. She gasped, opening it and squealing with delight. "You remembered," she said, sliding on the bracelet. "It's perfect." We walked toward the gate, hand in hand. "You sure you want to take the Jeep?" I teased. "You're looking awfully glamorous tonight." She grinned. "What? Think I'm too fancy for off-roading now? I'm still me." "I believe you," I chuckled. "But this place screams success." "I've worked hard," she said proudly. "Right now, I'm closing a massive deal near Lake Casitas. Real estate here is insane." As we drove, she shared more of her story, starting in West Covina, working at a large agency, eventually founding her own. She'd made her way the hard way. "Enough about me," she said. "What about you?" I passed her my iPad, flipping through photos of Chloe and Leah. "They're beautiful," she said. "Is this your wife?" "Ex-wife," I clarified. "The girls and I are close, though. They've been my rock." "I'm sorry," she said gently. "Still hard to talk about." "Not anymore. It was messy, but I've moved on." "And you?" "No ring," I observed. She shook her head. "No marriage. I had one long relationship, but it ended 4 years ago. Don't really like talking about it." We arrived at the restaurant, and she took my hand again as we walked in. Once the food arrived, the conversation flowed like it used to. She talked fast, laughed loud, and held nothing back. "I was dating another real estate agent," she said. "We were working on a huge project. He talked about moving in, but things went south fast." She grew serious. "I don't usually talk about this, but I want to." I gave her hand a squeeze. "You don't have to, Jacinta." "No, I do. He was shady. He bought land he didn't research. Turned out a huge portion, like 200 acres, was city-owned and under restriction. No development allowed for 50 years. What happened? He tried to fake it, pushed through deals, lied, even tried bribing officials. Got caught. Landed in prison. I trusted him, Eli, and he nearly ruined me. Luckily, I sensed it was off and backed away before it was too late." I leaned in. "So you left?" She nodded. "Sold my firm. Came back here. Best decision I ever made. And now I run into you." I smiled. "Didn't think I'd find you here either. I was just passing through." "How long are you around?" she asked. "Classes don't start till fall, and they're mostly online. I've got nothing solid till December." Her face brightened. "If I clear some time, could I join you for a walk? Or a little road trip, maybe? If you don't already have plans?" "I do," I said. Her face fell for a split second before I added, "And they'll all be better with you." Her eyes sparkled. "Really? Then let's do everything on your list." Her excitement made me laugh. "You haven't changed a bit, Jacinta." "Oh, I've changed," she said with a mischievous grin. "I'm wiser. And I keep finding hair in weird places," she whispered, smirking. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my water. Soon, half the restaurant was watching us, probably wondering what was so funny. But we didn't care. Spending time with Jacinta felt like rediscovering joy. She was sharp, hilarious, spontaneous, and full of life. When I walked her to the door that night, she talked nonstop, making plans for what we'd do the next day. Before she left, she hugged me so tightly I almost didn't want to let go. The following 2 weeks were a blur of laughter, hikes, coffee shops, bookstores, and quiet nights filled with conversation and warmth. It had been years, maybe decades, since I'd felt so alive. Jacinta was like oxygen. She reminded me how colorless things had been with Rachel, how routine had dulled my days. But this was electric. I started to notice how Jacinta looked at me, warm, tender, her eyes flecked with gold and green that seemed to shimmer under the sun. Neither of us brought up the fact that I'd originally planned to stay only 2 weeks. That deadline had quietly passed, and I had no intention of leaving. We saw each other nearly every day, always eager for the next plan, the next reason to stretch one more moment together. One evening, after a long day of antique shopping, We curled up on our couch, sipping whiskey with an old kung fu show playing in the background. I glanced over and noticed she had gone quiet. Her eyes were soft, deep, searching. Something wrong, Peaches? I asked. She hesitated. No. Yes. Maybe. I chuckled. That clears everything up. Eli. She began, voice low. Why are you still here? Are we just two old friends catching up? Or is this more to you? I hesitated. It started as friendship, but what do you think it is? It's more than friendship for me, she said. I loved you back then. I think I still do. I sat with that, stunned. Why didn't you ever say anything? You were my best friend, she said. I didn't want to risk losing you. I tried to get your attention, but I couldn't bring myself to ask you. I didn't know, I said quietly. You were the girl of my dreams. I just assumed you didn't feel the same. She leaned in closer. Do you still dream about it? If you don't plan to stay, she continued, voice trembling slightly, you should go. I can't fall for you again if you're going to walk away. I'm not leaving, I told her. I have responsibilities, my daughters, work, but I can be here. I want to be here. She smiled, visibly relieved. We'll figure it out. But right now, I want something else. She led me to the bedroom, and what followed felt like time had rewound. Everything about it reminded me of being young, in love, and completely open to possibility. The weeks that followed were a dream. We spent nearly every waking moment together, long drives, deep talks, laughter that left us breathless. Time slipped through our fingers, and before I knew it, for months had passed. Eventually, the girls started asking questions. Chloe and Leah wanted to know how long I planned to stay in California. I intended to tell them everything in person, but plans changed when I got a text from Leah. Dad, I'm flying into LA on Wednesday at 1 p.m. staying for a week. Can you pick me up? Of course, doll. Can't wait, I replied. I shared the news with Jacinta. Leah's coming for a visit. Jacinta curled closer. Oh, you need to tell them about us. I'm not hiding for a week. I want to meet them. I think I'll love them. I want you to meet them too, I said. I plan to talk in person, but maybe a Zoom call first makes more sense. Perfect, she said. When? Monday night. You free? No plans, she smiled. Let's do it. I arranged the call. The girls were curious, suspicious even, but agreed. After a few minutes of casual small talk, I took a deep breath. I know I've been mysterious, I began. I was planning to talk in person, but I've met someone. Chloe smirked. Dad, we're not clueless. We figured something was up. Yeah, Leah added. You've been acting all floaty. So, who is she? I grinned. Girls, I want you to meet her. Be nice, okay. Jacinta walked in, sat beside me, on my lap, actually, and smiled warmly. This is Jacinta de Leon, I said. We were best friends in high school. We've reconnected. She's the reason I've been in Ojai so long. They stared, wide-eyed. She's gorgeous, Chloe finally said. Leah raised an eyebrow. We're the gatekeepers, Jacinta. You've got to impress us. Jacinta laughed. I'd expect nothing less. I love your dad, and I'd love to be part of his life, and yours. I'm not here to take him away. Chloe nodded. We just miss him being around. Jacinta responded gently. We'll make it work. I want to meet you both and figure it out together. The conversation shifted to easy laughter and stories. They teased me, Jacinta joined in, and I could see a bond forming. After the call, I turned to Jacinta. Well, they're incredible, she said, eyes glistening. Smart, strong, hilarious. Definitely your daughters. When Wednesday came, I picked up Leah from the airport. The sight of her took my breath away. She had grown into such a poised, confident woman. She ran into my arms. Missed you, Dad. We had in and out, chatted nonstop, and by the time we reached the van, she was bubbling with excitement over how I'd converted it into a home. She loved every detail. Later that evening, I told her we'd be having dinner at Jacinta's. Her eyes lit up. Seriously? I can't wait. She showered, changed, and declared herself ready in record time. As we drove through Ojai's winding roads, she gazed out the window, taking in the scenery and charming neighborhoods. I get why you stayed, she said. This place feels like healing. The closer we got to Jacinta's house, the more impressed Leah seemed. She kept craning her neck, watching the neighborhood shift from nice to stunning. When we reached the gate, I punched in the code, and the massive wrought iron doors creaked open. As we pulled into the driveway, Leah looked at me, eyes wide. Daddy, your girlfriend lives here? She asked, clearly stunned. You've got way more game than I thought. I laughed. She's a top real estate developer. You wouldn't have guessed it in high school. She's Hispanic. Her parents immigrated from Honduras 5 years before she was born. Her dad started in an almond orchard, eventually bought it. Her mom ran a small business out of their garage. Dang, Leah said, impressed. That's some serious hustle. We parked and walked up the stone path. Inside, Jacinta was in the kitchen, wearing an apron and surrounded by colorful ingredients. When she and Leah spotted each other, they froze for a second, then broke into warm smiles and ran into each other's arms for a hug. What are you cooking? Leah asked, sniffing the air. It smells unreal. Jacinta grinned. Dinner's got a little heat. You into spicy food? Hell yes, Leah replied instantly. You can call me Leah if you want, Jacinta said warmly. Your dad and Chloe do. Thanks, Leah said. But I like Jacinta. It fits you. Jacinta laughed. Fair enough. Let's talk spice then. She gave me a quick kiss before guiding Leah to the stove. She opened the oven, releasing a heavenly scent. These are lamb ribs, loaded with spices. We'll shred the meat for tortillas. There's pico de gallo, brown rice, refried beans, and if you want to earn your dinner, Eli, go pick some avocados. Should be plenty on the trees out back. Leah's jaw dropped. You just pick avocados? Like, off a tree. Jacinta chuckled. Yep. Perks of having 6 avocado trees. I want to go. Leah said eagerly. Need any help? Just with slicing later. Go on with your dad. I'll get the table set. I grabbed a basket and led Leah into the garden. We wandered under the trees, picking ripe fruit while soaking in the golden hour light. This place is amazing, she said, eyes wide. And Jacinta's even prettier in person. You're doing a great job of making your old man blush, I said, laughing. I mean it. I can tell you love her, she said gently. I do, I said. And she loves me back. It shows, she smiled. Dinner was as good as it smelled, tender lamb, rich beans, fresh guac, laughter filling every corner of the house. Sitting at Jacinta's massive table between 2 stunning, brilliant women, I felt like I had stumbled into some wonderful dream I never wanted to wake from. After dinner, I offered to handle the dishes. When I returned, Jacinta and Leah were huddled on the couch with a laptop. They quickly snapped it shut as I walked in. Jacinta patted the seat between them. Come join us, troublemaker. Oh, I said, sitting. What are you two plotting? What? Leah asked innocently. He's paranoid, Jacinta teased. Old people, right? Hey now, I said, smirking. We're the same age. Yeah, Leah said, grinning, but you're the paranoid one. Not true, I said, narrowing my eyes. But I do know you two have been scheming behind my back since forever. All for your benefit, Leah replied sweetly. Later, after a few card games and dessert, we headed back to the van. Leah kept sneaking glances at me, her face unreadable. What? I finally asked. I like her, Daddy, she said with a quiet smile. You're lucky. I know, I said. Good thing you're here to keep me in line. If anything, I'll just stir up trouble, she said, nudging me playfully. But I'm glad I got to meet her. She grew quiet for a second. How do you think Mom's going to react? It's not her business, I said flatly. I'm not asking her permission. Leah nodded slowly. I still see her sometimes. Chloe does too. She asks about me? I asked, surprised. Yeah, every time. I just tell her you're fine. Are you lying to her? Nope. I just don't give her much to work with. If she keeps pushing, I'll tell her you met someone. Do what feels right, I told her. I trust you. Smarter than you, she teased, flashing the familiar smile that had melted my heart since she was little. The rest of the week was incredible. Sometimes it was just the two of us, sometimes all three, and other times Jacinta and Leah snuck off on their own. When Leah flew back to Austin, she and Jacinta were already planning the next visit. Chloe flew in 3 weeks later, and her reaction to Jacinta was equally positive. We were on a roll. Eventually, consulting work called. After talking to the girls and Jacinta, we decided on a working vacation. Jacinta and I flew to Tarawa first. The girls joined us the next evening. I worked during the day while they explored. Our nights were spent laughing, sharing meals, and enjoying the beauty of the islands. By the end of the trip, I had 3 tanned women teasing me relentlessly and 2 daughters who clearly adored Jacinta. Soon, I had to return to Austin to finish some in-person work. Jacinta flew in for the second weekend. The girls picked her up on Friday and spent the day shopping and sightseeing while I worked. We reunited for dinner, and that night she stayed with me. Sunday evening, we planned a simple walk with the girls, but their mother had other plans. Rachel had a habit of showing up unannounced. usually to catch them off guard before they could avoid her. And sure enough, when Jacinta and I arrived, she was already at the apartment. Things got awkward instantly. Chloe greeted her with, "Mom, this is Jacinta. She's Daddy's girlfriend." The shock on Rachel's face was instant. The girls tried to usher her out, hinting that we had dinner plans, but she held her ground. "So, how did you meet Eli?" she asked, eyes locked on Jacinta. Jacinta smiled politely. "We sat across from each other in math class." Rachel frowned. "You're both taking a class?" I couldn't help but laugh. "No, Rachel. This was when we were 10. Her jaw dropped. "You've known each other since you were 10? Why haven't I ever heard of you before?" Rachel asked Jacinta, suspicion sharp in her voice. Jacinta responded calmly. "We lost touch for a long time. Life took us in different directions, but we reconnected earlier this year." Before the tension escalated, Chloe stepped in. "Mom, we'd love to catch up, but we have plans." This wasn't on the calendar. Rachel let out a huff that could have curdled cream, but she let Chloe guide her out. The door closed with an awkward finality. As soon as she was gone, Leah turned to Jacinta with a sheepish look. "I'm so sorry. That was awkward." Jacinta waved it off, smiling. "It's okay, honey. It was going to happen eventually. I know my place. I'm here for your dad, and for both of you." Later that night, over dinner and back at home, the girls and I finally tackled the conversation we'd all been skirting. Leah, apparently the designated spokesperson, cleared her throat and looked at me seriously. "Daddy," she said, "what are your short-term and long-term plans?" I blinked. "Plans? Like, for what exactly?" She didn't budge. "I mean, do you plan on living in a van in California forever? Or is there a bigger picture here?" I laughed. "No, I'm not turning into a lifelong van dweller. Jacinta and I haven't really mapped out the long-term yet." Chloe cut in. "Mind if we hang around while you do?" I looked over at Jacinta. She nodded without hesitation. "I don't mind. I know how much you both matter to your dad. And he means the world to me too. I love him, and I'm not letting him go." Chloe smiled. "We know. We can see it." Leah added, "We just don't love that you're so far away. That's part of why we've been talking." My eyebrows raised. "We?" Leah grinned. "Yeah, I've been talking with people at work, and Jacinta and I have had quite a few conversations. I'm getting my broker's license. We're planning to start a real estate business here." I turned to Jacinta. "Really? You didn't mention this." She giggled. "Yes, Eli. I'm planning to wind down my Ojai business. Leah and I see real potential here, and we've been brainstorming." "I'm listening," I said, intrigued. Jacinta took my hand. "Here's the vision. You live with me in Ojai for half the year. I'll hire a manager to keep things running. We'll spend 3 months here in Austin. Leah will manage the business while we're away. And the other 3 months." She smiled. "We live in Tarawa. You consult. I handle resort logistics. We spend our time in paradise." I blinked. "You've really thought this through." "Every detail," she said. I smiled. "It's a plan." Of course, things weren't always seamless. Consulting work pulled me back to Austin. Jacinta's projects in Ojai sometimes needed hands-on involvement. But we stuck to the Tarawa plan, and the girls joined us regularly. One afternoon, about 3 months into our Austin stay, I got a text from Leah, just a photo and a short message. "Hey Dad, lunch. 1 o'clock? Sure. Ichiyumi okay? Perfect." When I arrived, the hostess led me to a booth where Leah sat with another young woman. After ordering drinks, she looked at me with a soft smile. "Dad," she said, "this is Reese Donovan, my girlfriend." The word hit like a cymbal crash in my head. I froze. Reese's expression tightened. "Screw this," she muttered. "Let me out. I don't need this." "Wait, Reese, please," Leah pleaded. "This isn't how I wanted this to go." I snapped out of it. "Reese, I'm sorry. I'm not upset with you. Leah never told me she was gay, and you caught me off guard. That's all. It's my fault," Leah admitted. "I should have told you." Reese exhaled. "She's my first girlfriend. I didn't think it needed to be explained." I turned to Leah. "Did you think I'd love you any less? Come on, sweetheart. You've always had my heart." Her eyes welled up. She smiled through the tears and stood up, hurrying to the restroom. Reese looked at me, unimpressed. "Really, man? Why'd you react like that?" "I don't know you," I said gently. "But if you're with Leah, I'd like to. That said, you don't know me either, so maybe let's hold off on the judgments." She crossed her arms. "Okay, but don't you think being a lesbian is something you tell your parents?" "I don't know," I admitted. Maybe I didn't give her space. Maybe I was too distracted. But it's not easy, is it? She relaxed slightly. No. It's terrifying. Loving someone so much you don't want to lose them or disappoint them. It's easier to stay quiet. I nodded. I get it. Leah returned, her makeup fresh. I reached out and took her hand. I love you more than life, I said. Nothing changes that. Now go sit next to your girlfriend. She sat down, still a bit hesitant. I'm sorry, Daddy, she said. I just didn't know how to say it. Shoo, I interrupted. It's done. Tell me how you two met. Leah smiled. She was a pitcher on the Florida State team. We met at a tournament. Love at first sight, I teased. Reese grinned. For me? Absolutely. But she had a boyfriend, so we stayed friends. And then? I asked. Eventually I moved here for work, she said. What do you do? I'm a software developer, she said proudly. She glanced at Leah, then at me with a playful smirk. You testing me right now? I laughed. You're a beautiful woman, Reese. You don't need my approval, but I can tell you're trying to pass some kind of dad test. Reese raised a brow. If you were my dad, I'd fail it, right? Too much sass, too confident. Too exposed, I said with a grin. But hey, lucky I'm not your dad. She burst out laughing. Yeah, lucky me. And just like that, we were all laughing together. The awkwardness faded, replaced by something better, understanding. Reese, you're the one who asked him, Leah said with a laugh. I like the way she looks, Daddy, she added with a playful grin. I raised my hands in surrender. That's what counts. Despite the rocky start, our lunch ended on a surprisingly warm note. Reese relaxed, Leah smiled, and we said our goodbyes on good terms. The next evening, Chloe dropped by and, as usual, got right to the point. Dad, I heard you met Reese, she said, giving me a knowing smirk. Chloe, did you know? I asked, still processing everything. Did you know Leah is bi? She sighed, clearly expecting the question. Yes, Daddy. I've always known. She held up a hand before I could speak. And if you're about to say something like, why didn't you tell me? Let me make this easy. If you ever keep a secret from me, I won't tell on you either. Deal. Fair enough, I said with a reluctant smile. How well do you know Reese? Pretty well, Chloe replied. Leah told me a lot back in college. But, I'll be honest, she wasn't always great. What do you mean? I asked, raising an eyebrow. She had a girlfriend for a while. And she cheated on her, Chloe said bluntly. Leah wasn't happy about it. They didn't talk for a while after that. Wow. I didn't know, I admitted. She's an adult now, Dad, Chloe said with a shrug. Let her live her life. I get that, I said. But if it were you dating someone with that history? She interrupted, laughing. No, Dad. If I ever get married, it'll be to a guy. Later that evening, Jacinta got home, and I told her about the lunch with Reese. Her reaction caught me off guard. Oh no, I groaned. Don't tell me, you knew too? She hesitated before replying. Yes. Leah told me she was planning to talk to you about it. Why am I always the last person to know anything about my own daughter? I said, frustrated. Jacinta chuckled softly. Because you're a man, Eli. Girls talk to women more easily. I don't like it, I muttered. And did you know Reese cheated on an old girlfriend? I asked. Yes. And does that bother you? She asked calmly. She was young, but yeah, it does, I admitted. Jacinta's smile faded. Eli, they were 19. You really didn't make any mistakes at that age. Not like that, I said firmly. Not cheating. That conversation lingered between us for days. Eventually, I sat Leah down to talk. I'm worried about you, I said gently. Especially about Reese. You know how terrible it was when your mom cheated on me. Leah's face darkened. Yeah, Dad. I was the one who told you. Don't you remember? And now you think Reese is the same? That's so unfair. Before I could respond, she stood up, furious, and stormed out. She ignored my calls and texts for the next 2 days. Jacinta wasn't happy either. When she got home that night, her eyes were sharp. What did you say to Leah? She told you. I asked. Yes. She came to the office in tears, Jacinta said. So I'll ask again, what did you say? I told her I was worried. That I didn't want her to get hurt. I said defensively. You're projecting, Jacinta said, arms crossed. Reese is a sweet girl who's grown up. She made a mistake, sure, but so have all of us. I just want to protect my daughter. Then let her live her life, Jacinta snapped. Right now, your protection feels like control. It was the first time I'd raised my voice with her. You're meddling, and she's not even your daughter. Jacinta's face fell like I'd slapped her. Her voice was low, shaking. She is my daughter, Eli. Ask her. Her words hit me in the chest. I know you've been hurt, she continued. But turning that pain on me? Or Leah? That's not love. That's fear. And it's cruel. She turned away. Moments later, I heard her suitcase wheels rolling across the floor. What are you doing? I asked, my voice weak. I'm going back to Ojai, she said, tears brimming in her eyes. When you pull your head out of your ass, call me. I didn't mean it, I whispered. But she was already gone. I sat in silence for the rest of the day, stunned by how quickly things had spiraled. I barely slept that night, haunted by the look on Jacinta's face. The next morning, I woke up groggy, poured myself a bowl of cereal, and stared into space. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there stood Reese. The last person I expected. The last person I wanted to face. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. We need to talk, she said bluntly. But first, I need coffee. Strong. Black. I blinked, thrown by her confidence. Eli, she said, folding her arms. Either you make me coffee, or we're done talking. I'm mad, sure. But I also get it. I couldn't help it. I laughed. She was fierce, bold, and totally unfiltered in her ripped jeans and crop top. All right, I said, heading to the kitchen. Coffee it is. Just don't roundhouse me, Reese. I could, she said with a grin. I'm a pretty good kickboxer. Of course you are, I muttered. Blue Mountain beans okay? Perfect, she said, leaning casually on the counter. By the way, I've always dreamed of owning a coffee shop. Not some chain, either, something cozy. Artisan. Unique. As I ground the beans, she talked about her dream, about warm spaces and deep conversations and the smell of fresh espresso in the air. I handed her a cup of dark, rich brew, and she took a long sip. This is amazing, she said, then set the cup down and looked at me. Her eyes were sharp and soft at the same time. Eli, you're kind of crazy. I chuckled. Probably. But what makes you say that this time? Leah's devastated, she said. And honestly, so am I. She doesn't understand where you're coming from, but I do. I frowned. You do? Then explain it to me. She nodded. Your wife, Leah's mom, cheated on you. I get that. That kind of betrayal sticks. It poisons everything. Makes you question the people you care about most. I stayed silent, unsure whether to be angry or grateful. But that doesn't mean I'm her, Reese said. And it doesn't mean Leah's doomed to repeat your past. Leah told you that? I asked. She did, Reese nodded. She also told me how shattered you both were after your wife left. I get it, Eli. So what are you getting at? I asked, leaning back slightly. She met my gaze without flinching. You see me with Leah, and you're scared. Chloe probably filled you in on my past, huh? The cheating. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. You think I'm going to break her heart, she said softly. Like your wife broke yours. I let out a slow breath, admitting the truth without words. So what do you plan to do about it? I asked. I'm going to show you who I really am, she said, voice steady. I want you to get to know me, really know me. I'm not hiding anything. Fair enough, I said. You're off to a good start. She smiled, bright and unapologetically confident. I know how I look, Eli. Men, women, it's been like this since I was a teenager. I've had to learn how to navigate it. Not surprising, I said. You're beautiful, Reese. Thanks, she said, her expression flickering with something softer. Leah probably hasn't told you much about women's college sports, has she? I shook my head. In softball, she went on, most of the team's gay. Like, most. Maybe 10% weren't. That's a pretty small minority, I said. Exactly, she nodded. So now imagine being young, surrounded by that energy, figuring yourself out. I started dating a girl my sophomore year. We were together a year. It was good. No cheating. At least not from either of us. So what happened? She paused, her tone shifting. I got invited to an elite skills camp, run by two legends I grew up idolizing. It was a massive opportunity. And I prompted. Her voice dropped. They took me under their wing. Took me to clubs, fancy dinners, concerts, introduced me to a lifestyle I wasn't prepared for. I was dazzled. I frowned. You're saying they crossed a line? She nodded. That's where your imagination has to step in, Eli. They knew exactly how to manipulate someone like me. Young, impressionable, desperate for validation. I went quiet, letting it all sink in. She sipped her coffee, eyes misting over. They were everything I admired, and they used it. I didn't know how to say no. Tears slipped down her cheeks, slow and silent. I realized she wasn't sharing this just to defend herself. She was trusting me. She was trying to bridge a gap for Leah's sake. And I was the one making that hard. I stood, grabbed a box of tissues, and handed it to her. Then, without a word, I gently pulled her to her feet and wrapped her in a hug. She was stiff at first, unsure. But slowly, she melted into me. Her sobs came quietly, and I held her close, murmuring, "It's okay, Reese. I'm sorry. You don't need to say any more. I get it now. I really do." We stood there for a long time. When the tears stopped, I carried her to the couch. We sat and talked for hours, about life, pain, trust, forgiveness. As the sun dipped low, I made dinner, and she helped, leaning against me, stealing bites, laughing in between. It felt warm, familiar, like family. Later that night, after 2 bottles of wine and plenty of laughter, Reese stayed over. She crashed in Leah's room. The next morning, she called Leah and invited her over for breakfast. When Leah walked in, Reese and I were shoulder to shoulder at the stove, flipping pancakes and bickering about syrup brands. Reese had one arm slung around my back like we were old buddies. Leah marched right up and wedged herself between us. "What are you doing here, Reese?" Reese grinned. "What? Like your dad. I came to enlighten your poor, clueless father." Leah turned to me, eyes narrowed. "What did you say to her?" "Nothing bad," Reese replied quickly. "I just came to make peace. He's an overprotective dad, now I get it." Leah's eyes locked on mine. "Daddy, I'm sorry," I said. "For everything. I get it now why you love her. And how much she loves you. Will you forgive me?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She threw her arms around me. "I love you, Daddy. Always have. Always will. It's easy to forgive you. But I owe you an apology too. I assumed you were just being, well, a stubborn old idiot." Reese and I exchanged a look and burst into laughter. "I kind of was," I admitted. "I kind of was too," she added. Reese smirked. "Don't worry. We've all had our idiot moments." I looked at Leah. "Reese and Jacinta helped me see things more clearly. I know you care about me. I wish I'd just been open with you from the start." "I wish I'd answered Jacinta's calls," Leah said softly. "She didn't deserve the silent treatment." "Well, you've got work to do," I said. "Because I really messed up. I said some unforgivable things." "She told me," Leah said. Reese's eyes widened. "What did you say?" I hesitated. "I told her Leah was my daughter, not hers." Reese clicked her tongue. "Oof. You said that." Leah nodded. "Technically, you're right. But emotionally, you're way off. I'm closer to Jacinta than I ever was to Mom. I wish she was my real mom." "You need to apologize," Reese said. "What?" I groaned. She grinned. "Hope you like crow, dude. Because you're about to eat a whole homicide." We all laughed. The morning turned into one of those rare, perfect moments. But I knew what had to be done. 2 days later, I flew to LA. I rented a car, stopped at a flower shop, and bought every single rose they had. I let myself into Jacinta's house and filled every room with them. When she came home, she stopped in the hallway, stunned. I dropped to one knee. "I've officially pulled my head out of my ass," I said. "I'm sorry, Peach. Please forgive me." Tears slid down her face as she crossed the room and wrapped me in a hug. Her curls fell around me like a curtain. "I hate being mad at you," she whispered. "I'm sorry too, Eli. I know you meant well, but it felt like everyone was attacking you. We've got to communicate better. All of us." "I'll eat all the crow you've got," I whispered. We flew back to Austin and, later that summer, went rafting in Colorado with all the girls. Reese was officially family, a fiery, unpredictable jungle cat of a daughter I never saw coming. 3 years later, we were all together in Tarawa. The girls helped me plan it. After dinner, as Jacinta wiped the last bit of sauce from her lips, I dropped to one knee again, this time with a ring. Her hand flew to her mouth, and she burst into tears. I slipped the ring onto her finger, pulled her to her feet, and she collapsed into my arms, sobbing and laughing all at once. Peach," I whispered, kissing her forehead. "I was hoping this would make you happy, not bring on tears of despair." She giggled, burying her face in my chest. "I am happy. This is what I do when I'm really, really happy." It was one more curveball in a life full of them. But this time, I saw it coming, and I sent it soaring. My family was complete.